Mahalo Smash. So aloha everyone. This is Melinda from Queen Lili'uokalani Children's from Lili'uokalani Trust. And the Ho'opono core team is here to present, and I'm going to hand it off to Ka'ai'ai.
Aloha and welcome. Next slide, please, Melinda. So we're going to start with Aloha. So if everyone could do this exercise with me. This is an interactive time that we are going to do several activities together. So one of these are our hanu and ha. Hanu is our inhale, deep inhale, and ha is our exhale. But when we inhale, we breathe in through our nose. And when we exhale that breath through our mouth. We're going to do it 3 times. So hanu, breathe in. And I'm going to reach up to the ceiling, to the sky, to kiakua, and exhale. Ha. Hanu. We're going to do it again. Breathe in. Hanu. And hold it and reach and stretch and exhale. Ha. Hanu. We're going to do it again. Breathe in. Hanu. And hold it and exhale. And we're going to give that breath back to the aina that nourishes us and feeds us as well. We're going to open with e hō mai. E hō mai kai ki mai luna mai e. O nā mea una no e o nā mele. E hō mai. E hō mai, e hō mai, e hō mai, kai ki mai luna mai. O nā mea una no ia. E hō mai, e hō mai, e hō mai, e o mai kai ki mai luna mai e. O nā mea una no ia o nā mele. E hō mai, e hō mai, e hō mai e. Ahelani e, ku'ulani e, hano hano mau o ke ahuni e. Vehi vehi e, I ka veki u he no ana pu'uhai. Ahe maka mai I na kawakau, I na tupuna na ewe hanau. Ia koulei no e talani me te aloha a mauloa e. Haina ia mai ana tapuana e lili'uokalani no ia lei e. E lili'uokalani e. Aloha and welcome everyone to Ho'opono. Aloha, my name is Ka'ai'ai. And I'd like to welcome all of you on behalf of myself and our core team. What I just did this morning is how we usually start our protocols for not only our program, but other various programs here at our trust. So we asked our kupuna, as we heard from Ku'ule earlier, it's that wisdom of our kupuna that are also protective factors. Therefore, we ask for that unseen and that unknown knowledge. Please grant that to us. So when I did that oli, I also had my hands open, ready to receive. Also, oli no ihele was composed for our queen. And that is how we give honor and bring her into the space with us. So we purport that cultural values are protective factors. Therefore, using rituals that enfold and uplift these values like protocol are offered here today. At Lili'uokalani Trust, protocol creates the space, time, and effort towards thriving through culture for ourselves, our children, and our families. We continue to serve on behalf of Queen Lili'uokalani. Next slide, please.
Kule, ke olo olo.
Oh, kalamai. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day in Hawaii, no matter where we may be, and those who are not in Hawaii. We welcome you into this space, for our oceans touch each other. We welcome your kupuna as well as our kupuna into this space with us, so that we can co-learn and uplift all of our ike kupuna, for they are protective factors, and we want to not just learn about them, but use them in a most pono way. Mahalo ke akua for this Hoʻoikaika conference, in allowing us to be here with all of you and sharing with you what we have learned of Ho'opono and Ho'oponopono. May this information also uplift your lives as well as ours. And please grant us traveling mercies as well as health and healing at this time, Kia Kua. And I ask all of this in your son's precious name. Amen. E kalamaia'u for not doing pule. This is our veheke'ala. And our veheke'ala is our strategic vision of 2045. And in this, we talk about our path that our queen has laid out in her trust is clear. For we have kule'ana, or we have responsibility. And in that responsibility is uplifting our traditional practices for our children and our families today, so that they can live on in the future. One of these practices, so that we can meet our goal of thriving Hawaiian children, is our program of Ho'opono. Next slide, please. I'd like to introduce you to our kupuna, our kumu, and our role models who have shown us Ho'opono to make right, or Ho'oponopono. When you use the word pono twice, it just means that extra oomph to pono. Yeah, that extra emphasis. So I'd like to introduce you to our role model of Queen Lili'uokalani and her many various instances of Ho'oponopono. Also, Tutu Mary Kavena Pupui, who was our cultural consultant here. At the time, it was called Queen Lili'uokalani Children's Center. Later, we also had Tutu Malia Craver, who was also one of our cultural consultants throughout the years. And she actually put on classes for Haku Ho'oponopono, as well as Anake, or Tutu Thelma Osh Carter. We also have Uncle Dennis Kauahi and my parents, Richard and Lynette Paglinoan. So aloha and welcome to all of our kupuna in this space with us. Next slide. At this time, I'd like to ask all of you in the chat, please introduce yourself and please put in where you feel connected to. We'd love to hear from each and every one of you. In this Ho'opono program that we have at Lili'uokalani Trust, we had many collaborators, and they are Lenny English, Momi Awo, both from Maui. We have Vernon Viernes, Matu'u Pulotu, and Shelly Mae Tokunaga from Oahu. And through and with them, we have created an adaptation of our Ho'opono to our Ho'opono program. At this time, I'd like to introduce Maka, and Maka can introduce himself.
Velina mai o Makalauna o pukawa na kulaki ike o Baldwin ba o makahike ako ni. A kaua ne'e wau I Oahu a noho wau I ke manawa komoku o wai anai i ka aho poa o Lili'uokalani. Aloha mai kako. I'm Makalauna Feliciano. I graduated from Baldwin High School and I moved over and now I have a family and we live in Waianae, Oahu in Lili'uokalani and the aho poa there. So mahalo nui loa. And if you want to, I know she shared, but if you can put where you're from in the chat while we're sharing the difference between Ho'opono. So you might connect with people inside of this room. That's one of the important things with Ho'opono. At this time, I'm going to share a little bit between Ho'opono and Ho'oponopono, the difference between it. So, and what's the difference? The process is similar. Both are used to have a restoration of relationships, to bring back into balance, including akua, or the higher power, to set things right with each other and akua, the Almighty, according to Tutupukui. So Ho'oponopono is a traditional practice of restoring harmony, balance, aloha within the ohana. Many of us have heard of Ho'oponopono, but I know it was like, what is Ho'opono, right? So we'll get that to share that with you soon. And Ho'oponopono may include extended ohana, perhaps a friend or those that are in the community. There is a haku, right? A haku, a person within the ohana, is usually the oldest. It can be, a lot of times it was traditionally a male, but it doesn't have to be that, who is very well respected and can bring everyone together. And exactly as I shared, extended ohana family, that big. And one of the things it is when we bring family together, it's because it's a really huge, big problem. And a lot of it today usually happens with aina or land, something to do with something of that value, but it not necessarily, because as we talk, one of the things that Ho'oponopono has, it determines the degree of offense is called mo kapiko. In the Ho'opono process, there is this mo kapiko where when things are serious and something done so drastic in terms, perhaps maybe murder, sexual assault, things of that, one is severs themselves from their ohana and family. And this is not the practice in Ho'opono or in LT. In Ho'opono, it kind of it's an adaptation, so it's more modern. And we don't have a haku, we have a po'o that does it, and usually that's the person, the parent in the ohana, or that caregiver who is taking care of the kamali'i, the child. And it is only really for your own hale, not the big ohana. That's Ho'oponopono. And pilikia is small. It's, you handle those problems daily that you can call Ho'opono session. We don't want it to continue to add and add and add on. Then you may need to go into Ho'oponopono. So Ho'opono is the preventative approach in this fashion. Again, for immediate ohana. Next slide. One of the things we want to share is what we share this with the kamali'i as well as the family. They all participate in the Ho'opono learning. And we had to do it through Zoom. Maybe we even did it through Zoom. Imagine that. And we had to share some of these concepts about and getting the kamali'i to understand, as well as the parents, the importance of the Hawaiian worldview, right? And understanding that, which means to balance in pono, it means to balance oneself, mind, body, and spirit. And some of us know this as the three piko, and that we all must align the three piko, which is the top of our po'o is one piko, our navel, which connects us kupuna, our navel, which connects us to the generation of today, and the aina, and that which resides today, and then our piko ilalo, which is future generations. In Lokahi, we kind of share that that's a bigger concept, right? That's more the balance and the unity of the higher power, spirituality. Akua, we share with the kamali'i, and some of you know that. Tanaka, which is those we interact with, and our aina. And that aina can be that which is in the sky, that which is in the ocean, or that which is on the aina. Next slide. So one of the key things we share in Ho'opono in learning is communication. And we do these kind of graphics to kind of share that that's an important component because it expresses thoughts and feelings, and the connection when there's a lack of clear communication, then that's when the problem begins immediately. And then the connection to each other falls apart. And we have to now bring back the balance within the love and the family, even in the immediate family, because a brother or sister and sister are fighting or arguing for anything. Where's the remote? I cannot find the remote. You took my remote, or you touched my phone. Where's my phone? Where's my cord for my plug? That those things and they never see them. And the problem becomes bigger and bigger, and we want to solve it quickly. So we call a Ho'opono. So communication plays a big part regarding it. In these images, we see messenger, one that sends it and we share, and then the one that receives it, right? And and then once they receive that message, they share the feedback, right? And then it repeats again to see and hear. So we kind of share, right? Communication is important. Also, nonverbal communication important. So what we share is Hawaiians, we look what we call ho'olono. Everybody say ho'olono. We use all of our senses when we communicate. So we need to be present, parent, kamali'i, and understand that we need to, really observe. We kilo, because there is sometimes somebody says, I'm fine, but the whole facial expression, even their body motion and the tensity of their body says that they're not okay. So we need to be aware. So we do those things. And one part we share within the culture context of Ike Kupuna is we talk about the communication of ku and hina, right? And people go, ku and hina? Yeah, ku, our right side of our body, that which uplifts, like there is, and we try to share this with kamali'i, just like there is a hot and cold, we have ku and hina is on the left side of our body. And ku kind of lifts up, rise, move forward. When the sun rises up, that's kind of that ku, and as the sun rises down, that's kind of that hina, that kind of leaning over or falling over, but it's in a good way. So understanding your ku and hina essence is important in communication. So we'll go to the next slide and we'll do examples. I might need a few people to volunteer in this part, okay? So if we're looking at ku and hina essence in communication, our tone of how we communicate, our volume, and the pace is important in communication, right? So I want to see if I can have a volunteer. I'm gonna give you a sentence or a phrase right there. And we're gonna choose a facial expression, and we do this activity with the kamali'i. And you have to play it out. All right. Who would like to be a volunteer? Can somebody look? I have because I'm looking at the screen, I can't see everybody. Enaone. Enaone, we're going to share. And then we have 3. So Enaone, I give you number 9. That last row, number 9, because with that expression of what you feel it is, share, go cook rice.
Understanding this correctly, you want me to act like number 9, but say go cook the rice.
Yes, with the tone, volume, and whatever pace you choose.
Perfect, thank you. Go cook the rice.
I go cook the rice, right? When you come home from work, you can see that tone, volume. Who knows what? And so we got to be aware. But the kids, they get into this part. I'm telling you right now. So we had one more. I thought I saw somebody else's hand go up. Okay, we're gonna do the last one. What did you say? And you can choose whichever one you like. Which one? And just say what number, and then what did you say? Is that Shayna or who's gonna share?
Hi.
Okay. Oi, choose one.
Number 3.
Okay, number 3.
What did you say?
What do you think that number 3, that emotion is kind of like?
Disappointed, sad.
Yeah, maybe something they heard and it was really hurtful. And you're saying, what did you say? I'm stupid, right? Communication. But the kids, they jump over. Oh, I like do this one. I like do that one. But there's also an understanding tone regarding what did you say? What did you say? Tone, pace, volume. These are things that we start to teach our kamali'i and family very at the early stages in Ho'opono, because when we call Ho'opono, this is taking into Ho'opono. So we have to let them be. And let's pa'ilima for everybody that participated. Pa'ilima, mahalo nui. At this time, I'm gonna give it over to Ka'ai so we can talk about essential attitudes of Ho'opono, which is important.
Mahalo nui, Maka. So in our Ho'opono program, we have found that although there are a lot of Hawaiians out there, they might not have been raised Hawaiian. So we have to introduce some of these values and these concepts to them, and then actually have them have opportunities to behave like these values that our kupuna have brought forth for us. Because we are a trust, we also link them to various times as well as writings of our queen, of her reign, or as a princess. So we make those connections for them. And these are not an exhaustive list. They are 10. But there are 10 of ours that we have chosen that mimic and our attitudes that are needed for a successful Ho'opono session. So I'm not going to go and read through all of those values, which are on our left of the screen, but I'm going to tell you about why they are so important. So aloha, they always have to be kind, always, especially when they're talking, like Maka said, in the communication. And we're going to do a Ho'opono because we want to make things right from our heart. Therefore, we want to restore our lokahi, our balance in our relationship. And when it is your turn to talk, you're only going to talk to the po'o, or the one leading the discussion. We are going to speak and listen with aloha, for we want to understand your perspective, your point of view, as well as why, how, when, all of those wonderful things, so that we can be kind as well as listen for aloha. We also want to talk about only one problem at a time. So a lot of times, even in our own families, when you argue, you want to bring in the kitchen sink, the toilet, the tub, and everything. Come here, come here, come here. So in Ho'opono and Ho'oponopono, one problem at a time. Then you can go to the next. Therefore, when we talk about it, we can act it out. Because when we're talking, we know this, that emotions start coming up for you. And when you start feeling these emotions, well, pretty soon you start acting it out. So no pointing fingers, none of that number 9 face, or I think Shayna did the number 3 face. You know, that does not encourage someone wanting to hear your side of the story. So we got to be open to listening to what everyone has to say. Therefore, a kukulukumohana has to be done in the beginning. So we have to be na'au ha'a ha'a. Before you start a ho'opono, can you be humble? When you say you're sorry, you're going to mean it. And then when you accept someone's apology, you accept it, for you're never going to bring it up ever again. Like my mama always tells me, the feelings are memories. You still remember because they're memories, but no more that deep hurt attached anymore, because you have forgiven someone who has asked for forgiveness. So next slide, please. Okay, just like Maka, I have to ask for 2 volunteers, please. Okay, like Maka, I cannot see everybody. But it's 2 volunteers. We're gonna play something, and it's called the Oya I'o, or the truth activity. Does
You can
anybody
raise your hand and then we can see you. I can't see everyone. Oh, on mute is okay.
Yes.
Two people, ke olu. Jump in. It's not difficult. Just
Tell
gonna
the
share.
truth.
It's just gonna ask you your mana'o. Yes, mana'o. Oh, here we go. We got
Looks
Layla.
like a bowl with some leaves inside.
Okay. So I hear what you're saying is, what you see is like a bowl with like some leaves inside. Is that correct?
Uh-huh.
Is that all that you see?
Well, it looks like the bowl might be made of wood because I see the streaks,
Okay.
and the leaves are kind of broad, like, so they're like big leaves.
Okay. So the bowl may be made of wood and the leaves may be broad. Anything else that you see?
I know sometimes they have the bowl with the leaf for blessing.
Okay. So that is an assumption you're making, that there might be a bowl with leaves in it, because you know that they sometimes use that kind of thing for blessing. That's correct. Okay. Next slide. And who do we? Leilani. Aloha, Leilani.
Hello, good morning.
Okay, I'm going to ask you, Leilani, please describe what you see.
I see the ocean and the fish going with the current.
Okay. So I hear you say you see the ocean and fish going with the current. Anything else you see?
And it looks like a waterfall.
Looks like a waterfall.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Looks like the reef, maybe. Yeah.
Looks like the reef. Okay, you see the ocean. You see the fish swimming with the current, maybe. It may be a waterfall, and you may seem to think that maybe it might also be a reef. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that your truth? Is that your Oya I'o?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Next slide, please, Malin. So what you folks both have done, Rachel as well as Leilani, have described the same item, but from different perspectives. It is the front and the back cover of Nanaike Kumu Helu'ekolu. And that is what we talk about. And the children love this game because grandma just don't understand me. She don't get it. Or my parents don't see what I'm seeing. Well, that's kind of like our everyday situations. It's dependent upon perspective. What did you see? What did you hear? What was the resulting feelings that you felt? Then what was the resulting reactions? So what Rachel described is very different, and her oia'i'o was very different from what Leilani described. Leilani had no bowl on her perspective, but it was the same quote unquote situation. So keep this in mind when we show you what the process is, because sometimes it's a little difficult. Therefore, you must prepare yourself if you are going to be the ones helping the family, as well as the family members who want to ho'opono truly or ho'oponopono. Next slide, please.
Okay, recently had a Zoom update, so let me know if you can't hear the sound, everyone, okay?
Okay, so
Oh, sorry.
we are going to let you know about our process. It is an adapted process from my kupuna. So my kupuna is Marikavena Pukui, and they did not have to do what we do now, which is kukulu kumuhana. We didn't have to explain the process. Everybody knew what it was. They didn't have to explain what necessary attitudes they had to have in order for it to be successful and in order for it to work. They also didn't have to explain what kind of values a hale or an ohana have for each other. And this is why you want to restore that relationship. They didn't have to. Now, because of our cultural historical trauma that has been done to us as a people, and a lot of our practices were banned or outlawed, or our kupuna decided it's better in order to succeed to not do Hawaiian practices. So therefore, what we are attempting to do at Lili'uokalani Trust is putting the practice back into our families' hands. They will have the skills and the knowledge, and they can do their own problem solving using this process. So the first part of it is kukulu kumuhana. What is the problem? What's going on here? Okay, you folks know what we gotta do? We gotta do A, B, and C. You folks willing to do this? Yes, we are. Okay, let's go to that place we do ho'opono. We're gonna start it with a pule or opening prayer. And in the opening prayer, we're gonna go down, see the arrow going down to another kukulu kumuhana, where we include a statement of the problem. Sister went steal my slipper. So we're gonna find out where the slipper is, but why she also took the slipper. Okay, so in that, we're gonna talk story, the mahiki. Each person will tell their side to the po'o. The po'o is someone who will be impartial or as impartial as they can be. In ohana, sometimes as a parent or a caregiver, your emotions also get involved. Therefore, you must train yourself. What Dr. Kimo talked about, being a listener. That's your job. is to be a listener and make sure the communication goes back and forth and is not stuck on the he said, she said, and the accusations. So if they are ready to do mihi kala and oki, which is admit, forgive, we're gonna cut oki and then let go, or are they gonna hang on to the problem, which is po'o mauhala? If they are, the po'o is gonna impose a ho'omalu, or a timeout. That timeout is very specific, and they have to think about why are they stuck? How come they cannot move forward? After everything I heard, what am I still hanging on to? If that happens, and after the timeout or the ho'omalu, we go back to mahiki and we continue the discussion and talking till that person can come to that place of admitting as well as forgiving. After all of that happens, we do a pule ho'opau in Ho'opono. That means we are going to put it to rest, never more to arise, and we are going to throw it out to the deepest depths of the ocean. Once that is pau, a lot of times our emotions were high, things were said, and a lot of self-reflection and self-introspection occurred. So energies are low, but your heart is full. Therefore, we do a pani, and we also fill our bodies so that we can continue and normalize what has just occurred. That's why rituals are so important. So I'd like to ask Melinda to show you a video of Richard, Lynette, and the family doing a ho'opono.
Mahalo ka'ai'ai. I do want to ask Smash, I don't know if it's still recording, but can you pause the recording right now?
Okay, thank you so much. Mahalo ka'ai'ai a Makalauna. Aloha kako. My name is Lili'uokalani, and a place I feel connected to the most is Hana Maui. That's where I'm at today. And so one of my kuleana has been supporting the expansion of Ho'opono across our kipuka, across our pai'aina. And so a little bit of what Ka'ai'ai Maka just shared was really the foundation of Ike Kupuna that we use across our program. So I'll be sharing a little bit about how the program's set up and some reflections from our past participants in their own words from this year's cohort, as well as from our Lili'uokalani Trust team with that lens of Hawaiian values and protective factors. So how we're strengthening families through Ho'opono. And so just a little note about that video. We just love having that video. We use it multiple times in our program because it's such a great example for our families as they're learning something new, or a lot of times at the end, we also hear relearning something that's deep within them as they find their own style of Ho'opono in their own home. And so our most recent cohort ended in this past July, and we met on Zoom once a week for an hour and a half and a total of 20 sessions. And so every session we close with an ohana activity, and it's just a simple opportunity to practice one thing at home during the week, right? Because we're meeting in the next week. So half of our ohana activities are focused on a value. And so you see our values poster over here. And so we're encouraging our kamali'i, or the children, and their caregivers to, in a form of one conscious act, right? Like do something that shows aloha for your makua, or do something that shows laulima for your ohana. And so when we return in the following session, one of the very first things we do right after protocol is we're already starting to move in small group, like breakout rooms on Zoom, to share. And this is where we see the power of mo'olelo. Each person's story takes over. and our ohana are able to listen to their own family members, right? They're sharing individually and they're listening to each other, gaining that oia i'o, that perspective of how each person thinks about a value and how their actions display that. And they also are learning a great deal from other families in the breakout room, like how their family operates, right? What are the things that they're doing that are causing harmony or disbalance, right, in their hale themselves. So next slide, please, Melinda. At the end of the program, we asked children and caregivers in our closing commentary, our closing summary, Kalamai, survey, and they responded around this question: how do you practice Ho'opono in your home? And we know as new learners, there might just be parts of what they learn in Ho'opono or the entire process itself. Some are able to try the entire process out. And we also heard what you see on the slide. So these are their words really describing how they're practicing our values in their own home. So I'm just going to read directly from their words in this next couple of slides, okay? So speak with aloha and ho'omalu, communicating in a pono way when I am frustrated, getting frustrated, helped me become more humble with my child and others, more patient, more understanding, willing to listen and be humble. This makes me think of one of our ohana that participated. It was a single mom and she had a child and he was about 5 years old. So, 5 years old, they're learning a lot, but because of the child's age, mom just said, okay, in our hale, we're going to focus on the values, right? Every day or between the sessions, what mom did was really just called out like behaviors that her kamali'i did that reflected good things, pono things. And then also in our group, we use pono ole, something that's negative, and then they are able to talk story about it and talk about why. And so really just highlighting values as a starting place to figure out what it means for each person as a family and how these values show up in a living way in the home through everyday interactions. So next slide, please. Another question we asked about was how the group helped them change individually. And we noticed themes of self-awareness and confidence. And I have on this side a couple of quotes from here that I'll pull forward. So it's like, figured out why not just start with myself. It made me aware with my kids and try stopping issues before they become bigger problems. Help communicate more effectively, love each other more, and meeting each other where they are at in supporting each other. Because now I can explain to the kids more when they fight. I want them to understand what they did wrong and for them to say sorry about what they did. I feel pono about being the po'o of my family because I have the tools to lead in a positive way. So, and the next slide. Thank you, Melinda. Our LT Ho'opono team, those implementing across Hawaii and our offices in our kipuka, have also shared about the impact of Ho'opono. Here are some of their reflections as they've been working closely with families and on themselves. So I think, let me see. Sharing Ho'opono with them, what it is as a way to heal hurt, pain, and trauma being experienced, gives them hope that they have a way to heal together by reflecting on themselves. There is a shared language to discuss core family values. This helps family members self-reflect and explore their collective ohana strengths and struggles. It reminds me every time of my own core values and the importance of aloha and forgiveness. So just in closing, I wanted to share that in the theme of our Ike Kupuna is a gift of hope for all to heal. It requires us to be open to traditional ideas, concepts, and making them meaningful in today's modern times. It takes lots of practice and commitment. We are reminded every day through every interaction that we have that aloha is everything. And we have Hawaiian solutions to restore relationships. And so the call to action is really that we can all start by reflecting on our own values and everyday actions. So I think that that's from our end, but I know that we wanted to savor a little bit of time for questions or insights. So we can go to that slide, Melinda.
I had a,
Go ahead.
I wasn't sure if One was, I
Oh,
hope
sorry.
I'm
Go ahead.
pronouncing it correct. Was that your question? Nobody wants to tell the truth when we're doing oyo. Just wanted to double check. 'cause it-
Kalamai, it was a joke on regards to there's
Oh,
nobody
okay.
stepping up. So I was like, oh no,
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure because that's also something we hear from families when the kids themselves, the young ones, they don't want to admit, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. I didn't touch it, and everybody's saying they didn't touch it.
Yeah, I
That's
get that a lot in my holiday too.
yeah. So with that being shared, that's what I thought you meant, and I was gonna see if Kai wanted to share if that happens in your house.
So in my house, I have a not me, and I don't know, live with me and my children. And we honor them almost every day. So yes, right. We have to talk about, and like Loki said, it is hard. And it takes practice. And it's not really practicing if we keep on doing it. Eventually, it'll come second nature to the children. Oh, I see a hand up.
Yes.
Sina.
No.
Aloha. I had a question. When you bring in the families or when the families participate in your program, during that time, if one of the children or the child doesn't want to participate or they're just not in the mood to attend, what kind of strategies do you guys use to help bring them back to the table? Because in order to Ho'oponopono, you need to have willing participants to respect the po'o and to, sit down. So I just want to hear what you do.
I know in our virtual setting, right, the families are in the same place and the sound, right, they can hear. And so even though within the group setting itself, we encourage them to stay near and hear, but they don't have to be like on the screen per se at that point in time, but they're still listening because they find out later, they become more inquisitive and back on the table. That's one thing about being virtual as they're learning the process. Go ahead, you guys can share other examples.
I just wanted to share, and I may follow. And one of the things we really stress in Ho'opono is love for family, love for each other is critical and important. And that they're not that they're not participating, but that's what this whole thing is about, right? And having that permeate, that if there's this disbalance and this disconnection, it's hard for us to feel the warmth and love from each other. And hopefully that resonate with, especially with the older kids, the younger ones, they love the hugs, they love the kisses, they love the older ones. That's the ones that start, once they're hitting around 13, 14, they start to ku'e, right? 7th, 8th grade. They don't want to be part of. That's why we need to start it at a young age, the process of Ho'opono. But in that encouragement, we don't want to force them either. But if we slowly introduce this process, and that's why we kind of like that, and that's why it's long too. I mean, it's usually between 15 to 20 weeks, the sessions, and then hopefully they can start to, especially we love if you can get them on site and do the fun activities. Getting them there is the tough part, right? For them. And on Zoom, that's what Loki was sharing. They can hear because they don't have to be dragged away for quote unquote 15, 20 miles to get to the center. But ultimately, we want them to understand that the word aloha is important for our family, and we would love you, to be part of it, so we can continue. Because you don't want it to drag on, and every day something is added on to the pilikia. In Ho'opono, one pilikia at a time, and it's handled right then and there, not to wait on and on. Kai?
I had a different experience. I had familial pressure. Koho ia, no more choice. Because if you're a part of this family, we're gonna do it as a family. And we are gonna restore. So when you look at it from that perspective, how do we encourage each other to talk to each other? And I was really lucky to have parents who chose to raise us using Ho'opono. Well, actually, it was Ho'oponopono, and I didn't know any different. I never know how to do anything else. When we argue and stuff, this is the the go-to thing. So when we encourage children, and that is why we have found Yamaka, the kids want to be the po'o. And when the parents see their behaviors, their intonation, their body language being done to them, it's very eye-opening when they see how the child perceives them and how they're going to lead it. So that's not quite an answer to your question, but we give the children opportunities to step up and be po'o too, because they are part of the family.
We have 1 minute. Sorry, we can't answer any more questions because I know you folks have other sessions to get to. But we would like to, if you have any more questions, you can reach out to any one of us. I think some of our information is posted, but probably we would like to close this section at this time.